In this episode of Capturing Car Culture, we're hanging out with my friend Juan Carlos. Him and his family were refugees from Cuba. He worked hard his entire life selling everyday pedestrian cars to achieve the American dream. Over the years, his success has allowed him to amass an insane collection of cars. We caught up with him at his compound in Miami.
A little bit of everything.
This is like pretty much where you have most of your American cars, it looks like.
Yeah. And the cars that I don't drive a whole lot, that I only drive maybe when the weather's colder, because some of these cars don't have AC.
Most of your cars have AC.
But some don't. Like that one doesn't. This 429 Mach 1.
Look at that thing.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
It drives so good, man. I mean, it's fun when you drive a car that's a real car. It's not like a car that's a rust bucket that people put together. And this car's one of them. It's got the original, finish on the bottom, and original seats, original door panels, the rim blow steering wheel, where you actuate the horn through the steering wheel rim. It's an option.
Wait, really?
Yeah, press it.
So
it's
then
rubber. No, you go like this.
Oh.
There, rim blow they call it.
What? Well, why?
The strange options that they used to have, right?
Okay, so then you can't really grip your steering wheel that hard.
The big block engines from the Fords were like 427 Cobra type based motors, 390, 427. Then later they were a little behind on the horsepower race, so they came up with this platform that is loosely based on the big block Chevrolet. They also came out with a Boss. The Boss is like the next level, but with these motors you can make 500 and something cubic inches. You can make them really, really fast. They have huge ports. And they were rare because they're not that. This was the end of the muscle car era. So
what year is this?
71. So this is a 71 Cobra Jet. I can't leave things alone, so I got some heads and put a different cam on it, but mild, so it doesn't ruin the character of the car. This is funny, and might sound strange, but let's say somebody says that the best car in the world is a McLaren F1. You might be right for you, but you'll never have the experience in that car that you can have with this one. It's not that one's better than the other, it's just that the experience is going to be different. I know this car's not as good as a McLaren F1, we know that, but that particular experience of sound, smell, and drive, you cannot get. The only way you can get the experience from this car is if you drive this car. And at some point, that might be what you want. Because you could eat lobster every day, but you might want a hot dog another day. And that's just what you crave. And sometimes you want a hot dog,
That's why you have so many different cars.
Exactly. The different experience every one of them will give you.
Every one of these cars, if you have it, you're going to massage it and you're going to make it your own.
Yeah.
Like you don't leave things alone.
Unless it makes no sense. Like that's like 60 Corvette. It's a 283. What are you going to do with it? It is what it is. You're never going to make it quick or anything like that. And the character of the car, the personality of the car would not match a fast, rumbly car. It's just not. When you drive some of these cars, unless you massage them, they might be a little bit of a disappointment because the suspensions are going to be soft. They're going to sway. I mean, these cars, people remember because they had narrow tires and they will go all over the place. But a fast muscle car from factory was in the 14s. That's it, quarter mile. A really, really, really fast, maybe the fastest muscle car ever maybe was into the 13s, high 13s. And it might have been like a Hemi Cuda or some stuff like that. But, most of the other muscle cars, they were all in maybe an LS6 Chevelle. These cars might have been in the high 13s with restrictive exhaust and all that stuff. This is a 1970 Ranchero GT. There are variations of it with options and motors and stuff. This one has the Cobra Jet. I'm still working on this car. It's missing stripes and stuff. And this is the beginning of the project. But this is the older model of those motors that I was talking about, based on the 427. It's a 428 Cobra Jet. Made very few of these cars. So now I have to do the chrome. But one of the options was that shake a hood and hideaway lights. They're open now, but the lights will actually close and fill up the grill.
This is Michael Schumacher's actual car.
Actual car.
So why do you have this?
Well, it came up and I thought it'd be nice.
Like, are you going to drive it? Are you
No.
planning on driving?
No, I'm not gonna drive it.
You just want to restore it?
But these are the tires that he used and everything. This is his seat. We had it hanging from the wall for quite a while. The decals just fell off. And then I'm just getting through it and cleaning it up and stuff.
Whoa. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It actually says Schumacher.
Yeah. And here, look. This is his second car. He had a number 1, so MS2 is still there.
Oh.
You see?
Yeah.
Story goes that he used to go, he had telemetry and everything on the car that he doesn't have right now. But he'd go and he'd work on the brakes and everything himself. He was hands-on. That's when he retired from Ferrari, and in between when he was in Ferrari and he was later in Mercedes, to stay sharp. So the guy sends it to me in a box like this and like that, right? I had to put on the steering wheel and stuff, but all the original stuff. This guy sends me in 2 pieces of cardboard with tape the photo of Michael Schumacher driving the kart in Las Vegas when he came here. And I go through the box, I didn't see it, and I threw it away. So I call the guy, I say, hey, listen, you think you could send me that photo you showed me you have about Michael Schumacher driving the kart? He says, bro, I sent it to you. It was inside the box. And I threw it away. That sucks.
That's the only one that exists of that?
Well,
photo?
no, I'm sure there's others, but I don't know what the hell I have to do to find that picture, you know?
Ouch.
Yeah, that is what it is. So this Stingray I bought from a guy that had started it. He had gotten it painted. Actually, you know, he painted it in a way that it still had some of the porosity and stuff. Not a straight paint job, but to make it look like the original paint job, because these cars didn't come with a super smooth, perfect paint job. So the guy really actually did a really good job. He did that and he did the frame. It had a dark green interior like the dash, and I just didn't like it, so I went with an off-white interior the rest of the car. This car you can actually drive every day, all day, and it drives fantastic. It's got the 327, 350 horse. And like always, I put a different cam, hydraulic roller, and I port the factory heads. And then you get the same sound through the exhaust, you get the same thing, but you get an extra, I don't know, maybe 60 horsepower, 40, 50 horsepower. It makes a difference. And I buy him to drive him. That's why you see some dust and some dirt here and there, because I don't want the things that I have to own me. I want to own them.
That's such a good way to put it.
Well, you know, I went to a little place a few weeks ago, and I have one of my cars. So the guy says, "Oh, nice car," or whatever. And then says, "So listen, I have a Ferrari. I think he had an Italia or something like that. But man, I'm afraid to drive it. I wouldn't park it here." And you know, I told him, "Hey, listen. I mean, I'd rather it get scratched than not use it. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, get scratched, you fix it. But you can't live with that. Oh my God, what's the sense of having the car if you're gonna be so obsessed with any little thing that could happen to it?"
If you have a cool car to sell, check out Hagerty Marketplace. It's free to list your car. You get dedicated support before, during, and after your auction. You get to keep 100% of the profits. Check out the link down below. You save every single stock wheel and tire combo?
Oh yeah, and I can tell you what they were. See, those are the magnesium wheels for the F40. Those are like, you know, cup tires or whatever. So I drove it a couple times with those wheels on, and those are the factory F40 wheels.
Okay, yeah.
With the factory tires. This is a great car for South Florida because this car, all of these bodies, whether it's the 442 based on the Cutlass or the GS or the Chevelle or the Pontiac GTO, they all were based on the same body and the same frame, which is a full frame, so they're a lot stiffer. They ride better than the Camaros or the Firebirds. So Yeah, this car's a great car for here because it's got good cold air. It's quick, it's convertible, and really nice. But this is a very rust-free car, which is very unusual. 70 GTO Judge. I'll put wider wheels and tires, put sway bars, which like to some it would be sacrilege, but when you drive the car, it drives 10 times better.
I love the way this looks so much. I think it's such a timeless car.
This one also 4-speed with air. That color is called Orbit Orange.
It's so clean inside out. So then if you get something like this, how deep do you get into it?
I want it to be nice, but it's not gonna be Pebble Beach quality. I don't go into that because I'm not gonna stress it on whether the car got a chip on the paint or it rained while I was out or anything like that. So I wanted to get it to where the car is really nice, but doesn't have to be, 1000%. The bolts on the bottom don't have to be perfect or anything like that. They gotta be clean, not rusty, but
Creamsicle, Camaro.
Yeah, so these are the cars from my era that I would have dreamed of having. And they were all, based on the Trans Am series. So here's a 69 Z28 that won with Roger Penske and Mark Donohue. And then what I do with the car is I do all the suspension that I can. So the car sits right, rides right. It's not bouncy, it's not too stiff. This car didn't come with a cross ram. Back then when I bought it, and I've had this car for a long time, I bought an original cross ram, not a repop. So I was gonna leave it a 302, but the engine builder, he had a 327 steel crank. He says, JC, man, might as well put it on instead of going out and finding, And I'm really happy because it revs really fast and stuff. It's a combination between a 302 and a 350. It's right in between. So it revs faster.
So really, if somebody came in here and they looked at your collection, they would just think you're a muscle car guy. You just like muscle cars, but it's totally not the case. You like everything.
Yeah. I grew up with it, but I want a muscle car that drives, like I said, the way you would, if you were a kid, but you knew what you know now, how good a car can be, and you look at that magazine and you say, oh, wow, man, I'd love to be able to have one of those, or you're looking at the Auto Trader and dreaming of having one. If you actually get the original car, you might be a little disappointed because they had skinny, which makes no sense. You get those polyglass tires like those over there. Those tires over there that say Goodyear, they're really pretty on the car, and they go on that. Those are the original wheels and type of tire for that Cuda. But they tramline, they handle horrible, so it makes absolutely no sense. So you just do a couple little things to them. And I like to do it on an original car. This is a Chevelle LS6. This one I bought in California. This guy had retired. I went over there, and what's nice is the guy hardly even knew what he had. And he even had the build sheet to the car and everything, proving that it's an original LS6. These body cars and that 442, those cars are the best driving cars of all the muscle car era, bar none. And I've had pretty much all of them. I have them. These drive nice, but that full chassis, forget it. This is actually one of my favorite cars here. This car's so real. It's got all the original interior. Again, I did some things that some people wouldn't have done. I could turn it back to original easily. The wheels are there and stuff. What's different about this car than any other ones that I have here is this: I never touched the engine.
This color is absolutely beautiful.
The thing about Plymouth and Dodge and all that stuff, you cannot fake the car because they have all their records from factory. This car is red from factory, red on red, stick shift could have come automatic, and the elastometric bumpers, the rubber bumpers. You could have all sorts of options. You could have chrome bumper in the rear, rubber bumper in the back, color coded. But this is factory. What this car did not bring that I put in there was the hockey stick stripe. I just liked it.
It's so pretty.
And it's really, you look at the door panels on this car, and this car are original. You can see some imperfections here and stuff, but the seats are original. The rug is original. You start looking, everything is original on the car. Another thing that's not original is the steering wheel. I have the original steering wheel. It's just that steering wheel It's like a comfort grip, I think they called it, or cushion grip. And it's better to drive with that than the thin. And I, had these wheels made for it. So now it handles and drives nice. And before, it was a joke. This car had no power steering from factory. It had power brakes, but no power steering. Just imagine a car with a big lump of engine up there with those slick, ugly tires, and then no power steering. You're gonna go through a roundabout and you gotta do all these crazy moves, So, it don't make any sense. Boss 02, this is a famous car from my high school days, to us there in school. And then another friend of mine owned it. And again, I've tracked it a little bit. I put the mini lights, the better tires, bigger brakes from Cobra Automotive, the better suspension in the back from Cobra Automotive. So the leaf springs, usually they just go like this, but this gets it it rides in a channel with a bearing, adjustable shocks, and then, you get a little bit of play there. When I have motors left over, I just build them with this friend of mine. And those are like, Chevy big blocks that I've had. So I said, go ahead and build it, and I have it there just in case.
Are these all stereos that you've taken out of cars?
No, some I've taken out, some I keep.
Original Corvette?
Yeah, this is really original. This is what I was talking about. This car is gonna be slow and it's gonna handle poorly, no matter what. But it's gonna give you an experience, and the experience is fantastic. If you, on the right day and everything, you go on this little car and it transports you. This car was from a politician in Puerto Rico with a E30 M3 motor. Open up there. And it's got air conditioning, adjustable suspension.
That's clean.
Inside it's really nice also. It drives really nice. Obviously a 5-speed. I like flares, but I couldn't get myself to cutting the fenders on this car because it was so straight, This is a 70 Z28, but my vision with this car was, if I was in high school, this is the way I would have wanted it with, why. People say, why did you put those center lines on this car? They look horrible. I understand, but that was the way that I would have liked it when I was young. To have center lines on the car was a cool deal with drag radials and stuff like that,
Yeah.
The car is super fast, has a ton of horsepower. This motor's built very, very well. It's the original motor, but we made it a 377. Very good airflow research heads and a solid roller. Car flies. This is a TII. This car came from California also. One of the heads of the BMW club over there, I bought it from him years ago. TII fuel injected with factory air conditioning, believe it or not.
Oldsmobile?
This is a 442. A friend of mine had it since high school. It had some issues that he didn't want to deal with. Here it is. All right.
This is just such a big car. I love the red fenders.
That's one of the telltale signs. They sell them repo, but this car, obviously, the provenance and everything, it's the original, the real deal. This car, really one of my favorites also.
Those wheels are just so crazy.
These are reproductions. These are like caricatures, basically, of the original wheel, which are the honeycomb. This car brought the regular steel wheels. I got what they call the honeycomb, but I had these made for it so it would handle. And then this is an automatic with air, which is also rare because it's not that common. When they were the faster motors rarely had air and had power windows, the rear console. It drives really nice. That's Juan Pablo Montoya, a great driver in road racing events. So I wanted
This is a road race car then?
Right.
So then, how did you get this?
That one came up for sale. I bought it, and then they hooked me up with Juan Pablo, and he gave me his connections in North Carolina. Tim McKeon finished the car off for me, so I took the car over there for him. He went through the whole car. We pulled the motor out. We redid it. He put a passenger seat. You got to reroute the fuel line because the fuel line goes straight. So you got to rewrite down. He's fantastic.
What do you use that for? Like a track day car?
Yeah, track day car. Track day car. I'm not doing it that much anymore. I'm using something like that or that Lotus, but they're super fun. So yeah, once in a while I'll take it out and I'll take it to a track event.
Like Miami Homestead?
Yeah, Homestead.
And
Yeah,
you'll run the oval or you run the
No,
roval?
no. No, I'm not crazy. No, man, go 200 miles per hour on that oval. No. It's
You run the road course?
the road course with a little bit of the banking, and then you go in, and you can't beat that feeling. And you know what's funny? You'll probably get beat by somebody in an Uzi 06 or something. You just will. But the whole experience, the noise, the sound, and the engines are fantastic. Well, you've been in them, how they pull after like 35 or 4,000 RPM. They're really something impressive because it's 358 cubic inches, normally aspirated, 800 plus horsepower, no turbos, no nothing, This supposedly was at one point Jack Roush Jr.'s car. These are the FR500C, but for a track use, they're fantastic because you have a full-blown race car and you don't have to have a $250,000 car to have fun,
So what do you use this for?
Open track events.
Oh, because this is not street legal. This is a
No.
track car.
No, this is a track car. This is a bare car, But they're made by Multimatic, and they're really solid, really well built. You can drive the crap out of it, and you won't have brake fade or anything like that, 400 and something horsepower for that particular series that they were running in. And I'm not an expert on that series, but sounds pretty, runs good, stick shift, fun.
I really think the theme, if there is a theme for your collection, it's just good driving cars.
That's it.
It doesn't seem like you really have that many cruisers.
It's got to be, this would be one. But it made me feel happy. The day that I went out on this car in the morning, the combination of the weather and everything, it just made me feel happy. And that made it for me. That was worth the money, the investment, the whole deal. So for some reason, it touched the nerve. But if it doesn't drive right, it has to be that it has too much of a sentimental value for whatever reason, You good in basketball?
No,
No?
I'm terrible.
Just got
First
lucky.
try.
Got lucky. We done with basketball or what?
What kind of feeling do you get when you walk into your garage and you see these two beautiful red Ferraris?
I'm not like, oh my God, I got an F40. It's strange. I don't feel that way. I know it's a special car. I love it. I think it's nice. I get that feeling when I drive it, especially in the right road. If I get up really early and can get to some nice roads and I can experience, what it's really about, that really is special to me. But the car on itself, maybe because I've had it so long, it's beautiful. I mean, and I look at it and stuff. It's more the feeling of the drive and the steering and the noises and the vibrations. That's what really gets me.
What do you think about the fact that so many of these have been getting wrecked recently, including Lando Norris's?
I've tracked my car. I tracked it here. I took it to Laguna Seca and I tracked it there. And I find that you gotta be very reckless because they are actually very predictable. I don't think that they are this on the edge car or anything like that. I just don't feel it. They have really big tires. They are light. You gotta be very responsible to lose it. And like I said, I've tracked it. I say 200 miles are tracking the car way back when I bought it. I don't feel that the car has any vices. So I think it was something really responsible or a wet road and you went on the gas and it went on boost. But even the boost compared to a 930, the boost is a lot more progressive. It's not like dead, bam. It's dead, and it's a crescendo of power. So it's nice. It's a fantastic car. I haven't driven any car that makes me feel like this car does. So the illusion meets the reality. That's the way that I would put it. I mean, there's illusions that you try it out and it doesn't meet the reality doesn't meet the illusion. This one, 1,000%. It checks every box of what it's supposed to be. Now, what it's not, and you could do it, what it's not is a car that you want to go to downtown Miami and spend an hour in traffic. This is no fun, you know?
How long ago did you purchase this?
I bought it like in 2000, year 2000, yeah.
They were low back
Yeah,
then. Huh?
yeah, they were low. That was about the low point of these cars. And I had a chance of buying another one, but obviously I couldn't because this one was a stretch to begin with back then for me.
Was this like a rite of passage for you? Like when you were able to afford this?
1,000%. 1,000%. It was a great experience because I met a tremendous person that just by speaking to me and talking to me, the guy trusted me. He had bought the car practically new, and he pretty much gave me the keys to a car and says, take it, son. When I get the title, because he had a Montana title, when I get the title, come pay me. And I could make it a longer story, and it's very interesting in my opinion because I went to his house with a deposit check, and his son-in-law was there. He said, basically, Dad, with all due respect, you don't know this guy from anywhere. Tell him to bring the car back, and when you get the title, he can come pick it up. He says, son, do me a favor, shut up. Here's the bag, the F40 bag, and let me have your check. He got an old coffee can, and he had an old mansion, really nice. So he put the check under the coffee thing, and he said, when you come back with my money, the check is gonna be there. Keep the car until I have the title. And he says, son, you know, I know people. That's one thing I know. Keep the car, we're good. Just pay me when I get the title. He got the title and I paid him for the car, but I had the car for almost, I'd say, around 2 months without paying him for the car. Yes, here in that garage over there. It's pretty crazy. And I always drive it because I couldn't hold it. I just put a tag on it and drove it a little bit, you know? And then I did some of the stuff that some people might or might not approve. I don't care. But it's all bolt-ons. I have the original wheels with the original tires. The car's got around 2,000 miles now. I got these wheels with these tires. I got wheels and tires from Micheloto from their racing program, Magnesium. And I bought the F40 LM brake package and some, you know, the turbos from the LM. And
You've essentially made an LM.
well, you know, as much as you can. The LM is wider. LM is a little wider, but they made for another series. And Micheloto said that this would be the last wing he would make because it was a pain in the ass. So he sold me the wing. I put that wing. This is bolt-on. You just, you know, take off and put the little center section on. And anything that I've done to it, you can take off or put on. But to me, it enhances the experience of the car. Very nice car to drive. It gets to the next level of the sound, the experience, the braking, and all that stuff.
At that point, how many years were you in the used car business in the year 2000?
I started buying a car here or there in, I'd say, 86 or so. It's like, say, 15, 20 years. 15 years or so, 18 years.
Of grinding.
Of 7 days a week grinding. It's just, I mean, if you want to accomplish something special, you got to be able to put an exceptional amount of effort. You know, that's just the thing. Unless you're so bright, you can come up with a cure to cancer in your backyard and then exploit it. But that wasn't me. I just had to work my ass off.
Just selling every kind of car. Like you're selling cars right now.
Yeah.
I think you're out of room here.
You think so, huh? Yeah.
Like I could tell that you're in the car industry, or at least the used car industry, because of how close you park all your cars. Like not an inch wasted.
Right.
You
I can't afford to. No, and look at these. I had to put like wood so they wouldn't move forwards or backwards, and they would just slide in, clook, you know?
I just like how casual you are. You have this crazy rally car here. So what's the story with this?
This is an R5 Turbo 2, just like this one, but somebody prepped it from the ground up to race. But it's still a street car. It still has a title and everything. The engine's made by Bosian, Renault Sport, transmission gears, differential.
You just drive this on the street?
Yes, but it's fantastic. The red line on this car is 6,000 RPM. That's it. They don't rev a whole lot because they had to try to make some low end torque. This one's got a red line of like 7,500, and it wants to keep on revving. But so it's got even the original type gauges. If you look at they went really precise. They got all the edges and they reinforced the corners to stiffen the car.
How many of these cars are ones that came across your desk at your work?
That's my problem.
That's how you acquire all these cars.
That's my problem. And some of these cars, that's what's happened to them. I mean, like this one, I know it's loud, I know it's pretentious, I know whatever, I agree. But I don't care anything about that. I want to drive the car and I want to feel special, and this will do it.
You have so many different cars. What's different about your collection is the range. You know, I see so many collections all over the world. And a lot of times it's like, okay, so I'm just gonna collect JDM cars. I'm just gonna collect exotic cars or just muscle cars. But the fact that you have that parked next to this, parked next to a DP and an NSX, and then whatever, E92.
And an old Jaguar.
Yeah, it's just kind of incredible to me that you get to taste the variety of everything and to its full extent.
What I do appreciate is the experience, the chance to get the car to where I think it should be, especially if it's an older car and stuff. So basically the experience, number one. And number two, I'm not gonna lie to myself about the experience. I wanna find the truth of what's nice and what's good about the car. This car, for example, everybody knows the transmissions are a little funky. You need to learn how to drive it a little better. If not, it can be a little frustrating. But they all have their pros and their cons.
This thing is so cool. Like, you have so many cars that just scream Miami, but this thing is just so cool.
Well, this car, it's nice. It does have the sport seats. It's got the Mario Andretti steering wheel. So this car, we're gonna order the title history because it was supposed to have been owned by Mario Andretti. We know for a fact that it was owned by Pete Rose because Pete Rose and Mario Andretti at some point had a racing team together.
How long does it take for you to get like the very back car out? Because it's got to be quite the challenge.
You know what? I got used to it. It's not that bad. Because I opened this door and then they all pop out.
NSX.
92 NSX, stick obviously. I've had it for a long time. That's a GT500 signature edition wide body. They put a little more horsepower, they lower the suspension, they put their wheels on. This is actually a pretty cool deal that I wasn't expecting. Look. So what happens is this is wider, right? So when you open this up, if you don't have this thing, it'll touch here. So they came up with that little, look at how like rustic it is, you know?
Yeah.
It's like an invention they had to do because if not, you would have been hitting this and scratched the paint.
Jaguar?
70 Jaguar. A gentleman that was introduced to me from Colombia. He sold me some of his cars, so I put AC on it.
Bunch of Porsches.
Yeah. This Porsche is from a friend of mine. He bought it. He did really well for a long time, and he started dumping money on it. It's got Cup car suspension, Cup car transmission, inside the insides of the transmission for a Cup car, front suspension Cup car, the bigger brakes that he could put, magnesium wheels that they only made a few from Champion, and it's got an Evolution Motorsports 1,000 horsepower engine.
Oof. This is probably one of the most hooked up 996s, huh?
The car is a rocket. We just tuned it, and the onset of the turbo is too wild, and if it's a little damp, you'll switch lanes. Because it's all-wheel drive. It's funky. I mean, it's a little unnerving.
How do you have time to try out all these cars?
Because I'm not a social butterfly or anything like that. This is what I do on weekends. This particular car has got a good story to it. The GT5S. It's a very low mileage car that I bought. I put the original engine on a stand, and we built like a NASCAR-based motor for it, but more cubic inches.
Holy crap. 335s and it's still like sunken in. Look at those seats.
They look like lazy boys.
Yeah, no kidding.
Not the best feeling seats. They're okay because you're not going anywhere. They're kind of supportive in a way, but it's just that.
How is this to drive?
Well, the closest thing I could say is like an old 308 or a 328 with American V8 in the back. You know, it's that old school type of, you know, Ferrari feel. 79 Trans Am, really low miles. I think this car doesn't even have 20,000 miles. But the thing is that I like resto mods, but if I can make a resto mod out of an original car, instead of grabbing a Firebird and turning it into a Trans Am, you know, then I'd rather do that. So I took the motor out, made it 460 something, 470 cubic inches or so, and then fuel injected, 4-speed, and then, you know, now it drives different. Instead of 200 horsepower, it probably has 550 or so.
It's interesting to see the GTR and the 430 together. It's like almost like the taillights are related.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You got a point. That's another car that those GTRs especially, because I had a regular GTR and the Nismo, and I'm sure there was some improvements, but this car feels so planted. Don't they drive planted? They give you a good feel. This is worked by some people down here that made some really fast cars, and it's got bolt-ons, so it's got maybe 850 horse or something.
I know this guy is really special.
This car you should drive. Everybody that looks at this car says, what the hell are you doing with that Saturn? When you drive it, you say, that's why. It is just right. It's done by Mallet. They made a handful of them, and it's got the dry sump, the 7-liter Z06 motor.
So what made you want to get this? Like, did you have the opportunity to buy it, or is it something you looked out for?
This came out of an estate. So a friend of mine that is an auctioneer saw it at the auction and gave me a call. Says, JC, look at this. So I said, wow. And I went ahead and bought it. But when I drove it, it's a stiff platform. The car doesn't shake. It is a surprisingly good car. It's just right. It's just that I've sold some cars, I mean, that I love the way they look. And this is not a car that I love the way it looks, but I love the way it drives.
Oh, this is the dry sump tank.
Uh-huh.
This is how it should have came from the factory,
yeah.
from Saturn.
Forget it. And then even the sound, they made the sound, it's tough sounding, but not annoying. So it feels, it's right. They did a great job. Again, look at how far back the motor is compared to the center of the axles. That makes a huge difference. I know there's resto mods that are fantastic, and everybody, I mean, Ring Brothers and all these people make fantastic cars, but whomever made this car really tried, because look at where the front axle is and look at the rest of the motor. This thing's almost mid-engine when you think about it. As much as they could. Look at what they had to do to the firewall to get the motor all the way in there.
You bought this like this?
I bought this like this, but then I had to do a lot of stuff, including tuning and stuff like that. You see how long it is, but it feels really small when you drive it. And it feels like it nimble. It's crazy. Number one, it's gonna be lighter than the original steel block that was, and heads that were there. And number two, they reinforced from the firewall to the front, so it's got no cow shake, zero.
I can't believe this. This is just the most insane sleeper. It actually says Viper powered.
Yeah, that's a little sticker I found somewhere in the internet.
How
I wanted to do
funny.
something nice, but you know.
What the hell?
And then it's got all reworked suspension on the bottom with like NASCAR sway bars, subframe connectors, multi-link suspension in the back.
Do you know how much power this thing makes?
I think it was like 620 to the wheels. I could make it more because it's got methanol injection, and it's only putting out like, I think, 6 pounds of boost. So, you know, figure 700 horsepower, 7 and change to the crank.
And it's a manual transmission?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love that it has the Viper floor mats.
Uh-huh. This one I just got.
Oh, it can't get any more Miami than this.
Yeah, and I just got, but I got from Europe. I brought it from Europe, and what made me go to it is that it's a GTS, but with a yellow top, so it makes it look like the Berlinetta. And then 6-speed manual, and factory carbon buckets, which is rare as hell.
This is got to be one of your best sounding cars, huh?
Oof. It had a tubby on. I put a Capristo. Poof, it is like a violin. Really, really nice. Very clean car. It's super tight. You know, I was crossing my fingers because I didn't see it. I bought it over the phone. But when it got here, the car's all there, and it drives fantastic. GT3, that's a friend of mine ordered it, and then he ended up not keeping it. And he bought a really nice spec, 6-speed.
They're such good driver cars.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't fault them, man. I mean, and it does feel like more than 500 horsepower, don't they? They feel so. They have torque, and then they pull all the way to red line, and it's really, I mean, fantastic package. In Trans Am racing in the late 60s and early 70s were like the height of American road racing. In 71 and 72, Mark Donohue and Penske went to AMC, and they made this car to race, so I have the 69 Camaro, Z28, I have the 70 Boss 302, and I have the 71 AMX. So if you notice, this might have been one of the first cars with flares.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It has some hips.
Hips and aerodynamics. So it has a factory built from spoiler, fastback. So they were looking for aerodynamics. A little flip here, a big rear spoiler. And then what I did was I lowered it a little bit, put a little better suspension, worked a little on the motor. It's 4-speed. Very rare cars. Very difficult to find in really good condition. And then I put the mini lights.
Oh, wow. So, is this original?
Yeah.
Unrestored?
Or
maybe like partial restoration?
Partial restoration, yeah. Yeah. I would say, well, at least the dash and stuff and all that stuff is original. The seats, I would say they are. Just by feeling the vinyl seems original. This is a very well-kept original car.
To be honest with you, I don't think I've seen one on the street. Maybe, it passed by and I didn't notice it, but this is, like you said, a very rare sight.
Extremely. It was even rare when I was young. And I grew up sort of in the era. And you'd see a Javelin, but you wouldn't see a Javelin AMX, especially a 71. So, and one of the tricks that they did, that this is a famous deal that Penske did, was, since he was also racing Porsches, he was able to put the calipers from the 917 in the parts catalog of American Motors. So he could use the brake calipers on the AMX on their Trans Am racing. So that was pretty cool.
Let's check out your two Fords back here.
When I got offered the car, they wanted to try to sell me the regular one. And I said, do I lose a spot if I wait? I'd rather wait for the carbon edition. So they called me later and they said, yeah, you can. So I went over there and I saw them building it. And then I asked for everybody, all the techs and the engineers there to sign it. So, there were several options. So I said, just sign it right there and put a little bit of clear on it so it won't fade.
What do you think about that, this era of buying new cars where you essentially have to prove your worth? Like, you have to prove that you're going to further the agenda or at least help in your way. What do you even have to say to Ford?
Well, you have to make a little video that we actually made. Those came out really nice. And I do have a lot of Ford stuff, so, because the first time that I applied for this one, even though I had Ford race cars and all that stuff, I got turned down. Then we took it a little more serious, did a little better video and reapplied, and then we got it. With a GTD, then we knew that we had to go a little better next time, and we already had this one new, so I think that this might influence them into giving you the new car. I like for them to make the car limited, because it kind of ensures that, you work hard for your money. You don't want them to produce 20,000 of these cars at $400,000 a pop, and then the car in a few years is worth $180,000 and you lose your ass. So, you know, I kind of like that process. And it weeds out a lot of the speculators. So that's what happened with the Z06. Everybody, you know, went out and bought it and flipped it and bought it and flipped it, and the hell with what Chevrolet said. And that's okay with a mass production car. With a limited production car, you want to ensure that it, you know, holds its value, number one, and it doesn't go to just anyone. So, I mean, I don't care much one way or the other anyways, but I thought it was a nice car, and yeah, I'm going to get it. So I'll tell you when I get it if it was worth the money or not. Because I mean, the one that the game changer is the ZR1. That ZR1 with 1,050 horsepower, whatever that is, and for half the price. Because they came up with a price with the GTD and it was 300 and change. But 300 and change, you get a really base car. When you get just to the next tier, it's 400,000. And then if you get this and next thing you know, you're at 440, 450 plus taxes. So it's gonna be expensive. GT350R, but with a Hennessy 850 package. And I have a friend of mine that did the wheels. This came out really nice. Because you know that the GT350Rs, the wheels are black. So he took off the paint and cleared them. And then left those edges. They're dirty, but they left the edges and these edges in carbon, you know?
If it wasn't crazy enough for it to be flat plane crank and super high revving,
yeah.
So now it has a Whipple supercharger.
Very nice.
It doesn't ruin the dynamics of this car?
You know what? I haven't tracked it, so I can't say. I would say it gives it what, you know, let's say another 80 more pounds in the nose. Whatever that affects the handling, I don't even know that I have the talent to be able to tell. But as far as the torque curve, the accelerating and everything, I'll take it. I'll take the 80 pounds, you know? It's really makes this car really cool to drive.
What an interesting way it idles.
Now that's with the exhaust low. Very cool. You can get on it a little bit here if you want to feel it, you know.
Wow. Oh my God. Third gear is crazy.
You see the difference? It's nice.
Oh, wow.
From 500 and change to 800 and change. It's actually 870 supposedly. What do you think?
That's so much.
And to rev 8,000 something RPM, right?
That is so much. Oh, wow.
And then if you want to quiet it down, you put it in soft mode and it just shuts down and it's...
You know, this engine, it was already really crazy. Like, it already made a lot of power. That's in 5th gear.
Great package.
Crazy. That's so much.
Perfect.
That is crazy. 3rd gear is
nice. And then
so much power.
And then you keep on pulling and making power, which is such a long band of making power because you don't have a 6,500 Redline or 6,000, you know?
So the stock version of this is probably the best, for me, the best American car I've ever driven. Like, stock version. So much fun, revs high, sounds good, handles great.
Solid platform.
It's like the difference, right? The GT350 versus the 500.
Yeah.
This is more for handling.
The weight on the you feel the weight on the 500 already. You feel that those extra pounds you actually get to feel it, you know? I don't. Let's race this guy, man.
Look at this guy. This is way faster. That's so funny. We took a trip over to his dealership, Ferco Motors. It may seem hard to believe, but his empire was built buying, repairing, and selling used cars of all types. The effort that goes into each vehicle is truly inspiring. What is Ferco Motors?
Ferco was a name that my cousin came up with when he had like a restaurant supply place. Then they got into wholesaling and they used the same name. It's Fernandez, my last name, company or corporation. So that's it, Fernandez Corporation.
How long have you had this dealership?
I started actually getting, borrowing a dealer's license from a friend of my dad for like $50 a car that I would sell. And then later I kept my cousin's name, but it's probably 35 years. Most of my business is either wholesaling to other dealers or selling the regular car, the Camry, the Mustang, the little Lexus or whatever. This is usually what's on this side of the lot. On this side, what I have is specialty cars and stuff that I get in on trade. A Rolls and 1927 Buick, a body in white for a 935.
Get out of here.
Yeah, man. Brand new, never used.
That's
never.
for sale right now.
Yeah, that's for sale.
Like, as Ferco Motors, you could sell this.
Yeah.
It has a VIN number?
It has a part number from Porsche. You can go to the parts department or you could buy a body in white for a crash race car or whatever, That the number's right there. I think it's an 81, I think. It's over there right under where the radio would be.
How did you get this?
Estate. He was gonna build a race car and he passed away.
Oh, well, at least you saved it. So you have no desire to build this into a full car?
Yeah, so this is probably best either for a race car that has a tub that's been damaged badly or an old 935 or somebody that wants a donor, a 930 or something. Because it's a turbo, chassis. This is...
Never been used?
Never been built.
It's amazing that it comes with sound deadening, though. That's very interesting.
So maybe it was a chassis for a road car, and he was gonna use it as a,
So,
race car.
What's interesting to me is that Ferco Motors, when somebody just walks off the street, like this gentleman that just was blown away that we had a Shelby here.
That's the Shelby?
Yeah.
That's the Shelby?
Yeah.
I like that, yeah.
You could have somebody that doesn't know anything about cars and they just think it's a normal used car dealer, which it is, and they could pick a Toyota Camry, Hyundai Elantra, whatever. But if it's a real car enthusiast and they don't actually know that you exist and they see all these cars, they probably are like blown away.
Yeah, because we could have just about anything here. This is like a big melting pot, potpourri or whatever you want to call it, of different cars. We could have a Range Rover, we could have Ferraris, but you can see some of the other cars that we have here. This is mine. It's a long story, but it has a built motor on it. So I'm waiting to be able to send it to the guy that has my Corvette so he can finish it off.
So then you do store some of your cars here, like this
exactly.
NASCAR. What's the story with this one?
Well, I drove it. I drove it for a while. I'm gonna sell it now. This was bought from the Earnhardt Museum. It was driven by Truex Jr. and Dale Earnhardt Jr. This car, I believe, is the one that won in Mexico City. Really low mileage Callaway, supercharged.
And then this is a real Hennessy Corvette?
And this is a Hennessy Corvette. This one's got single digit miles. This one's gonna come up and bring a trailer soon. 1,000 horsepower Hennessy. M6, this was sold. I'm just waiting to send it to the gentleman. This is a project that we're gonna sell. 427, 435, big block car with the original motor. Man, we took off the gas tank and we cleaned out with a little brush, and the tank sticker was there to prove that the car was a 427, 435 car.
The thing that's the most weird and obvious here is your offshore race boat. Mm-hmm. So what's the story with this?
Well, this, to many people, is the most famous offshore racing boat in history. And it's related to the grandfather of offshore racing. His name was Don Arnow. It won the world championship in '84 against the faster cats and stuff,
So then, have you had this on the water?
Yes. It idles crazy.
What engines does it have?
Twin 1,000 horsepower big blocks.
So 2,000 horsepower.
2,000 horsepower.
And when you take this out on the water, like what do? Just cruise around?
Exactly.
Just hang out?
Haul ass.
But like really deep into the ocean?
Oh yeah,
Or just around the coast?
This is for open ocean, big seas.
When you say haul ass, how fast are we talking here?
It'll probably top out at 100. But 100 while it's flying, because, it's wavy.
Right. And it's just like crashing into the waves,
Well,
skipping over them.
flying over them, yeah.
Yeah. 100.
But you can imagine this thing just flying like that. Whew.
It's so big.
It's
But then like, is this something that you sought after? Is this something that you were looking for? You're
Well,
like, hey, I want to get the most famous off-road,
I just sort of fell into this brand. This was like the bad boys of offshore racing, and only the best would really have these boats. Team Apache is the owners, because this was a factory racing team. Some other people raced Apaches, but this is the factory racing boat.
Oh, got it. Dude, look at the engine compartment. So then, you don't have an engine in there now.
No, I took the engines out to rebuild them.
And okay,
They're
so
being rebuilt. They're being rebuilt.
So then, how do you get up top?
Jump, walk all the way to the windshield. You see like these tabs?
Yeah.
Grab it with your hand and flip it that way.
This?
That.
Okay.
So what happens is after a certain speed, it will go plunk. So it would take the air out of your face.
Oh, it does it by itself.
Yeah, it'll do it by itself because the wind will open it. You could do it by hand.
This is so interesting, though. It's like all soft touch stuff here, like leather wrapped.
The throttles, you got to be constantly working it. Because when you're flying, you got to let it off the gas, not to over rev the motors. Like that. You're flying and you got to time it. And you also time it if it's falling, if the boat's falling like this, nose first, you got to go on the throttle early to pick up the nose. So you don't want it to dive in. It's an art, and this guy, Bobby, was the best at it. You got the trims on the motors and the trims on the tabs. That'll come in and out. Those are cables, and it'll show you exactly where you're at because you need a reference. And then you can raise the drives or lower the drives, raise the trim tabs or lower the trim tabs to adjust to the sea conditions and the attitude of the boat while it's running. So you want it like a free boat, so it makes a big difference. You pick up mile an hour.
So then when you're racing, you're standing up then?
Yes, standing up, yes.
Okay, because like I'm standing here and then you're not strapped in or anything.
No,
you're just
no.
in between.
Exactly.
It's almost like a couch, but
Exactly.
so is this original or is this restored?
It's original. It went through several different layouts. This is one of the layouts where they made these holes here for other people that wanted to go.
Got it. So you just stand in here.
You know what's nice? If you go in there and look at how the boat's built, the reinforcements inside.
Yeah.
It's like a big web of reinforcements because this hits really hard. So it's got to be really strong. If you kneel down.
If I go into the.
And
okay.
I don't know if you have a light or
Yeah,
not.
I have a light.
Yeah, go and you look inside. It's made out of Kevlar.
Oh, whoa.
See, it's got a second layer in there where it goes to the nose, and it's all like super reinforced.
So what is usually here in this front room here?
Well, nothing. And this is a race boat. You wouldn't have anything.
Oh.
All you have is access to the electronics and the wiring. A regular boat would be empty in there for couches and stuff. This has got that,
Wait, so this is all Kevlar?
yeah, wood and Kevlar.
All the way from 1984. That is so neat. This is so cool. This is so crazy to see all of the wiring and behind the gauges and behind the pods. Like this is the compass. That's GPS. That's definitely more recent. Oh, that's cool that there's a light in here in case you need to service something. I'm assuming the fuel tank is what I'm standing on right now. But look, fuel filters, pumps of all sorts. Check out the wiring here. Crazy. The whole harness, the radio. So the engine bay is back here.
It's empty now, but it would have stainless steel headers. You know,
So what kind of fuel does it run on?
it depends on how you set up the motor, but you try to set it up so it goes on 93, but ideally race fuel, at least 100 octane. But this drinks so much fuel that you try to maybe sacrifice a little bit of power for being able to use premium.
How much fuel does it take?
I think each one of the tanks there is, if I'm not mistaken, it's like 50 gallons, and it's got 4. So it's like 200 gallons, and I don't know if we had one here in the center.
Yeah,
I don't
there is
remember.
one I saw.
So if there's that might be another 50 or 60.
250 gallons.
Yeah, but 250 gallons. If you use it for racing and race fuel, just figure out what's race fuel now. Like
$10 or more.
Huh?
$10 or more.
Okay, then so you got, just in fuel you got $2,500.
And how long does that last?
I don't know, but not long. I mean, imagine 570 cubic inch blower motors. At 6,000 RPM.
It just stays at 6,000.
With twin dominators.
You're just. I mean, I guess the throttle man is going up and down in the throttle.
He has to because you don't want the motors to over rev. But
Right.
yeah, that's the game there. And to get on the gas as early as possible to be able to go fast. But you don't need the motor spinning 7,000 RPM in the air.
So you are able to use this through Miami, like the canals?
Yes, you could, of course.
Because it can cruise slow, fine.
Or fast or whatever, or semi-fast. You could do whatever you want, I'm sure. I mean, I've done it, but it's a race boat at the end of the day. The people that helped me restore the boat is Gail Pake and her husband, Tommy. Tommy Evans. Tommy Evans and Gail Pake. They're husband and wife. She's the painter. She did all this by hand and all the fading of the colors and all that stuff. And her husband did the rigging and all that stuff. Most of it's original paint, but some has been touched up.
Whoa, what's this? Oh, Maserati.
Yeah, that car's a friend of mine's car. It's got 18,000 miles.
That's very low. Whoa, look at the inside.
Yeah, a little patina, but all original leather and everything.
I like the headrests. The poles have leather wrapped on them.
We'll just have just about anything at any point. We deal a lot in cars that are not a lot of money, but they're a lot of value for the money. We try to check them out really well, make sure they're in really good shape, and then we sell them. It might be a car that looks like 50,000, but it's only 32 or 30 or 29, After being in the industry for so long and knowing that I'll put a fair price, I got a lot of people that call me and says, JC, I have a friend of mine selling a wide body, Hellcat, and then that's it. And I put a number on it. If it's fair, the guy sells it, that's it.